Hey guys, I'm RiggyRob, and welcome back to Disco Elysium. So, last time we finished off day 2, Tuesday, and there's actually a bit of controversy about how day 2 is handled by the game, because when I went to try and interact with my ledger of failure and hatred, it turned out it wasn't passing time. Once you reach 2 o'clock at night, the game stops, as in the in-game time stops. So you can't progress past 2 o'clock if you don't go to sleep. And I didn't know that. And if I didn't have the dock worker's shift card to sell to Roy to get the 20 real to get the hotel room, I would have been stuck. And there is absolutely no warning from the game that they tell you that that will happen. And it's not even a game over thing either, because the game over state is from sleeping in the trash container, which is what Gart tells you to do. Which is obviously, it's funny and it's a game over state. But before that, you're just wandering around doing nothing because there's nothing to do. So yeah, I've seen people complain about that quite a lot. Apparently, because we are now on day 3, Wednesday, there is going to be a place that opens up, because obviously the waterlock is going to be open and fixed now. And that gives you a place to sleep for free. So you're not going to worry about getting soft lock anymore. But yeah, I'm very surprised that that is even possible to do. So, other thing is, we saw Judith and Jean-Vic Mer. In fact, I think they're on the map. They are chilling out in the Whirling in Rags. Have a look, see. Yep, man with sunglasses, that's Jean-Vic Mer. We've taken a load of drugs, so alcohol and pyrrolidon and all sorts of things to raise our learning caps. I have found that having the actual art degree is an incredibly good skill to have, a good thought to have, because it will give me more morale and 10 XP for every single passive check that it succeeds on. That's very worth keeping. But otherwise, I'm kind of still trying to figure out what the best one to take off for something else would be. I don't know whether you can forget a thought to then learn it again. And considering how many thoughts there actually are, that might not even be a feasible thing to do in the first place. But we'll see. So in my head, the ones that are potentially up for forgetting are possibly the White Morning, because zoom out distance is whatever, and Motorix learning cap is good, but I can compensate for that in other things, and my Motorix is fairly high anyway because I started off with 4. Or there is another one which I forget. It's hard to tell how useful Jamrock Shuffle will actually be. It depends on how many locked containers there are. But there is another one. I think it's either regular law official, although again, all learning caps raised to 3 seems like it gives +3 to everything. But yeah, maybe that, or maybe Ace is high, because I don't really need more empathy towards Kim. It's nice, but I don't know how often I'm going to have to try and pass an empathy check anyway. So, we've taken a bit of damage, but hopefully our conceptualization will heal the morale. And I figured what we should probably do is, now that we've got Kim back in the party, is we should go and return to Joyce to tell her all about the drug trade and what we found there. I don't remember if I've spoken to that guy sitting on the stairs. Do you have anything to say? No. I make my own way, that's all. Always have, always will. That's fine. Doesn't really matter either way. So we'll go and talk to Joyce, let them know about what we know about the drug trade, and then we're going to try and interrogate Everard, because I saw them last time, well, not last time, but previously, but I wanted to have my backup with Kim, because Kim could help me out with some difficult questions. Anyway, we are here with Joyce, and let's go ahead and make a save. Alright, Joyce. Hello.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
I spoke with the lawman at the roundabout.
Yes, my eyes on the harbour have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered?
Wait, where exactly are these eyes located?
It doesn't really matter, and I do apologise for the surveillance. Wild Pines can't afford to be blind at a time like this.
One of the tall buildings overlooking the roundabout, most likely. That would give them a read on the entire quarter.
But is that going to include the Welling in Rags?
In any case, it's a relief to know someone has looked into it. If I may ask, will there be an official investigation? I assume you discovered there is an operation.
Yeah, if we can, I will put an official investigation into it.
If there is an investigation, it will be part of an ongoing operation, subject to confidentiality. I'm sure you understand.
See, again, if we'd gone back to Joyce, then I could say this without Kim and say, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But Kim's here to say, no, we're going to do it and keep it confidential.
Of course, detectives. In any case, you've held up your end of our arrangement. I trust you with the rest. Now it's my turn. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands.
The words bloodbath sound cold in her mouth. They taste of iron and strawberries.
What was that about a bloodbath?
Yes. I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Revachol West.
Since you are sharing, ma'am, this is also the RCM's worst-case scenario.
Then we're on the same page, as grim as it may be.
Tell me again, how are the lynching and the strike connected?
I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail.
So basically, Joyce's bodyguard is the man that was murdered. A momentary lapse of faith?
They were dispatched after I relayed the union's initial offer.
Every worker...
A member of the board. I tried to convince my employer it was simply a piece of rhetoric, or a joke. They did not appreciate the humor.
Do you need a security detail?
Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering.
And they weren't for that. At least going by, Titus.
Who are they, exactly?
Crenell, an Oranese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating.
So, one's dead, so we need to find 2 others.
They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment.
So, trauma and stress disorder is basically PTSD.
So, what happened?
The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night.
What then?
Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbour. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenell contractors carry out their orders, for now.
Alright, so we have to try and figure out who the other 2 may be. For now?
It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow.
What is the nature of this so-called investigation?
Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants.
All?
It'll be all of them. The decision is already made.
You've made a mess here. I have to say, this is not disco. Maybe the investigations can team up, share resources and intelligence. Boy, oh boy, is that not good. Well, I don't really want to sort of rub it into Joyce that she's kind of made a foul up. I have to say, this is not disco. Is again, kind of making light of it, but it's not too bad. Maybe they can share resources and intelligence, and boy, oh boy, is that not good. Boy, oh boy, is that not good, again, it's kind of just a nothing statement, so maybe they could share resources.
Surely you're joking. These people are killers. My only hope is that yours provides a single, concrete suspect before they indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put,
He grabs hold of the mainsail.
if you don't pin this on someone good and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
So basically, we have to prove the innocence of the Hardy Boys because we know that the hanging wasn't the cause of death. So find out who actually did it to save their lives.
The Debarders have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1.
Have you ever seen a hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? It's not pretty.
The Serai's giant hornet, the world's second largest insect, can kill 40 honeybees a minute, while a group of 30 can decimate an entire hive of 20,000 bees in less than 4 hours.
I thought that hornets, when they try and attack bees, end up like overheating just because of the sheer volume of the bees. Like, it says that it can kill 40 bees a minute. I mean, that might be true, but if you can't kill them that quickly, then you're gonna die very soon, or at least the hornet is.
These men work in tandem using semi and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all.
But what about old-fashioned antique rifles?
As I said, a bloodbath.
I can't see it happen. Too many things would have to go wrong first. Isn't this pretty bleak scenario you're describing? I think confrontation is inevitable. I think we should be able to avoid it. It is a pretty bleak scenario that you're describing now.
Many bleak scenarios have already come true. Nameless, badgeless detective of the citizens' militia.
I'm not nameless, I know my name. It's Harry.
All we can do is keep the rest from going the same way. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation.
Alright, so we completed the task for Joyce's info, so now we've got a skill point, which I'm not sure what to use it on yet. What can you tell me about Crenell?
Not much. Their public resume is relatively good, as far as private military contractors go. I believe they were once called Downwell.
Yes, it's the vertical game where you constantly fall down and have to push the screen or hold a button to shoot and stop yourself from falling.
They boast a long list of clients. Saint-Baptiste, Welchman-Lorenz, Eintracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in third or fourth world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions and such.
Meaning they're used to operating in war zones.
Yes. All the good conflict corridors, Supramundi, Yesut, the Seminese Islands, countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil.
Okay, anything else you got on them?
Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources.
Thanks.
If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though.
He thinks again. Oh, we've definitely got access, so we can do that.
Do you know a lot about the inner workings of the RCM and the ICP, ma'am?
In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCM. I did not think I'd be dealing with a group like Crenell.
That's kind of on you. Could you contact the company, tell them to call them off?
I have. And they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us.
And that's assuming they even take those orders.
She's being truthful. She is pressing them as hard as she can.
You said the deceased assaulted a woman.
Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it.
Well, it lines up with what the Hardy Boy said, though. Who did the passing on, then?
The remaining contractors. Their tribunal. It's what they believe.
What did these teenagers by the canal say?
That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez.
So everyone's sticking to the same script.
The lieutenant consults his notebook, his eyebrows knitted in concentration.
Odd. We haven't heard any reports about an assault in connection with the lynching. Where did it take place? And when?
I thought we had. I'm definitely sure we've heard them mention it before.
Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him.
Is the woman Sylvie? Who was this woman?
That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor about a rumor. In any case, it's what the Colonel's remaining colleagues believe.
This colonel, the one who was hanged, did you know him?
If you mean did I see him alive? Yes. But I did not know him.
His name was?
Lely. His service name. A nom de guerre, most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one.
Wait, is it a bad sign that he did divulge his full name, or a bad sign that the others didn't? Tell me about the others first.
One is a man. Corty, they call him. A nickname as well. The other a woman. Phyllis DePaul. Corty is the gunner, I believe. DePaul is a radio operator.
So, Lely died. Corty is around and is the gunner. Phyllis is an operator. Okay.
What would you say was his eye color, the deceased's?
She closes her eyes, trying to picture the man's face, then shakes her head.
How often do you pay attention to people's eye colours, really?
Can't remember.
There's a pang of regret to her voice.
The lieutenant was testing her, asking a small detail first to see if she knew him better than she let on. She passed.
That's all right, then. Anything else? Nationality? What would you say was his age?
He was 40. Or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age, or gauge his facial expressions.
Combat injury on his lower jaw is extremely vague.
Indeed, this matches the dental reconstruction we saw on the body. What else? Nationality? Accent?
He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oranese, or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it, through the injury. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once.
So he's got a distinctive accent. So if we ever hear a radio recording, we can point to them as being that voice. Okay. Oh, I've also just noticed in the bottom left corner of the screen, my alcohol and drug skill increases have run out. So that's interesting. I wonder if you could actually cause yourself to die by not having enough volition or endurance and the skill thing running out, and then obviously you go down to 0. Okay, where are the remaining 2 mercs now?
They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth.
Well, you'd hope so, with a military force.
They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting.
We still need to know where they are. We'll confront them directly. We'll steer clear for the moment. Well, I'm going to say we still need to know where they are.
You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved.
Uh-huh. So, we know at least one, and probably Corty. So, it's a logic check of 6, but we've got clothes didn't fit, the scab leader is built like a brick, and the scab leader is bad at acting. This is a red check, it can't be retried. Where are these mercenaries?
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbour gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise.
So if that's Corty, then who's Phyllis?
The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers.
One must be the goon in ill-fitting work clothes by the harbour gates, the scab leader. Oh, the other one might be Classier. That makes sense, actually.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest.
For all your talk of averting this catastrophe, the situation at the gate is a powder keg. Does this not bother you?
Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant. But my hands are tied. How would my employer react if it appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union?
Your concern may be appearances, Ours is keeping the peace.
Hmm. One's probably in the building overlooking the roundabout.
Would afford a good vantage point. In any case, it's practically inaccessible.
Where is your radio for contacting them, if I may ask? Do you have an earpiece?
Heavens no. I'm not an undercover agent. There's a short wave at the ship's wheel.
She nods towards the sloop's cabin. I had another question for you.
I hope I can answer it better.
How much time do we have?
Until the executions start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob, and their impatience.
Okay, so don't let them on about the Hardy Boys?
They don't report their progress to you?
Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative.
There is a brief silence. Seagulls squawk over the bay.
It's a matter of days, not weeks.
Matter of days. Okay, well, that's enough for now.
I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask.
Now can you tell me about these tattoos and show the photo?
Of course. Excuse my hesitation before.
She reaches over the guard wire and takes the photo, holds it in her hand.
For about half a minute, in silence. She wears fingerless gloves. Her fingernails are cut short and fractured, like those of a working woman.
It was taken with a trigette not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs.
They quiet, observe the woman's expression. What do you think? This is an interesting one, because if she had stayed silent, I would have stayed silent as well and just observed. But Kim is obviously making a point to converse. So I feel like the silence has already been broken, so I might as well carry on with the questioning. So what do you think?
Sorry. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars.
He points to one on the photo paper.
I can't. But that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent.
Like wires on a microcircuit, or say nothing. Again, we've already spoken, so...
Close. Port cities. This is an Oronese map of the waterways, a sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Dolorian century. Over 300 years ago, the sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels.
What is the use of this map?
The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption to be reeled back in by. The silver cord, they would call it.
What travels did the dead man make? Why would she know this?
Quite a few. Revachol, the Oronese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. He started somewhere near here, I think.
What next?
Then he made his way to the Pretto Grande, through what I think must be the Stutz Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Pretto, he sailed to the Insulindic Ocean, first the Semines Islands, then this.
He points to his heart. So basically, she is reading his journey through the way that he had his tattoos done. Basically going from the starting point, the Oronese capital on the right shoulder. That's quite interesting. What is that?
Revachol. Those are the two constants. Vredefort on the shoulder, and Revachol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinde, at the dawn of the Interinsulary Age.
The old world passing by, and the new world already here.
And there we go. So conceptualization healed some morale and gave me 10 XP. That is going to be very valuable.
You said you can't read it.
I can't. This man was no sailor, and these are no ports. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning.
In Martinez, looking into Krenel, he writes in one. Then the man puts down his pen and rubs his temples with both hands. Outside, there is a siren. Distant gunshots on the streets of the Jamrock Quarter.
So we are noticing what someone else is doing, looking into us. But how would they know we're looking into Krenel? This is the first time we've spoken to Joyce about it.
Vredefort? Vredefort has a military academy The Seminoles Islands saw a recent conflict. In Revachol, he was executed.
This man is no brother of mine, but this is his service history. Maybe it's a record of his military career. Leave it be. It's his service history. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, let's go with this.
That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident. Mercenary tattoos.
For all the boys looking for adventure, a blood spatter on the seas.
Who could tell me more?
His platoon members? The other contractors. Though I do not suggest you go and show them that picture. This man was their friend and comrade.
I mean, I wasn't planning on it, but we wouldn't have had the option to do it anyway because we didn't know that Corty and Phyllis were the other contractors.
Surely there are other people to ask about the tattoo. This is not necessary to complete the task, officer. It's a dangerous side task. Search elsewhere. Challenge accepted. I say we do it.
I mean, it might be dangerous, but we need the info. I need the information, mark it down, ask Mercs about tattoos. You're right, not a good idea, leave it off the schedule. No, let's ask.
Do what you have to do, detective. I don't think deciphering that tattoo should come before public security. But if you should wade into the mob to find out, I couldn't stop you.
We will be careful, ma'am.
That's all for the tattoos. Thank you for your help.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
Let's see. Let's go
would you
through
like
this
to know?
again.
Oh
So,
my,
economics.
The E word. You mean to say that it's a symbol of conspicuous consumption? That I'm a member of the ruling class?
No, you're siphoning off honest Revacholian tax revenue to shifty-eyed Vespertine financiers.
Detective, may I remind you that Mrs. Messier is a professional negotiator.
He doesn't look like he thinks you'll be best in single combat, but we already know that we failed this before.
Then what does that say? 33A?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
fine.
Anyway.
Alright, so, not a lot of people in boats. What do you mean, archipelago?
Technically, the
Caillou.
neighboring ozone and
That was Big
Okay.
Island.
I haven't seen it.
Actually, it's for...
Again, I'm
Neither
not
is
sure exactly
we need to
whether...
let this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich.
I'm not sure whether repeating dialogue options where a conceptualization check has already happened will do the heal and XP. I imagine it wouldn't, but maybe not. Yes, I do.
You have the guns and the ammo. Take this Clausen fiend down.
Okay, well, I don't really.
The
Alright.
boat? It's
What
a
kind of
pleasure
boat?
craft. My
How do you
slave
like it?
I mean,
I really do, the lieutenant.
Officer,
The Crown's a qualified pleasure craft.
I
Can I
just
see your
renewed
license?
its safety inspection last month, officers. It is completely seaworthy. In fact, it's taken part in not one.
Still
actually,
need to
you
see
don't.
license. I'm
It
pretty
is
sure I
a
do. I
little known
police.
fact among those
The
Wayfarer
Wayfarer
Act.
Act is one of the few. The one
Yawn.
time this busted up cabbage has something useful for your job. You just
Anarchy Act.
No need to politicize this. You may still ask for the lady's passport.
Of course.
Passport. So look
the
at
woman,
passport. It's
the Republic
Rejoice.
of Vesper. It
Anything
is
else?
a stable. The woman born in the
Okay.
My
You're
husband
from
is. I
Vesper,
have
which is
children.
why it says
She
Vesper
nods
sign
and returns.
financiers.
Good.
Okay, so this is all same as before. Maybe the
Lessons
reality
in
stuff.
Basic reality. My favorite
Aha!
part of the day. Go ahead.
Here we go.
Ask me anything.
Conceptualization in Possible 20. What is reach for something fundamental? We've completed the jamais vu thought, so now we have a very high chance of passing it.